Hey guys, it's Deltia from deltiasgaming.com back with another episode of the Nightblade. And this is part 2. We're going to do class, skills, abilities, and morphs. And I'm going to show you and talk to you about what I think is most effective for how I play and how you can kind of use these abilities to make your own kick A Nightblade. So stay tuned, let's get started. Assassination is the first skill tree that focuses on high skill target damage with some mobility. The skill line also contains one of the most important passives in the game, Hemorrhage, which basically allows you to do the most critical damage in the game. I highly recommend trying out these skills and abilities because if you like single target damage, this might be for you. The ultimate Deathstroke is pretty powerful. It basically is a healing debuff and it's a single target burst damage ability. On its own, it's not that effective, but paired with a good solid morph, it can be amazing. I take the Soul Harvest morph because it adds passive ultimate gain for killing enemies. Basically what I do is use a standard Soul Harvest on my main bar and swap to my secondary when I want to use Veil of Blades or another powerful AoE ultimate. The Assassin Blade ability for the Nightblade is basically their finisher, which is 25% or less health. You deal 300 times additional damage. I take the Killer's Blade morph because I like to play solo, and this way I can heal for 15% of the max health that I have on every killing blow. Also, I use it because I don't use dots a whole lot in my DPS, and I know I can get a killing blow when I want. The Impale morph is really good because it adds range, though for my playstyle I play on my own, Killer's Blade's a must for me. Teleport Strike is a leap that deals damage to targets and stuns them for a brief moment. I take the Ambush morph because the next attack does 30% additional damage and I can basically two-shot most enemies. Lotus Fan is really good, but I don't like the morph because I don't play tank. It adds a snare and a decent amount of AoE damage. Since I'm more focused on single target high burst, Ambush is good for me. Blur is an ability that gives you a 15% miss chance when you're attacking for 20 seconds. It's a weak defensive and I stay away from it for the most part. Though once you morph it to Mirage, it adds miss chance and can set the attacker off balance. Combine this with the medium armor skill Elude and Rapid Strikes and you'll be setting people off balance left and right. Mark Target is an awesome Nightblade debuff. It basically ignores 75% of the target's armor and spell resistance. However, the target also ignores 75% of your armor and spell resistance. Killing a marked target restores your health by a significant amount. Basically, I use this as Reaper's Mark. I take that morph because it adds bigger damage bonus and a heal. Since I play solo, this is what I like. Only use it on targets you can kill right away or you don't expect taking damage from. Haste is the next ability and increases attack speed with light and heavy attacks. I take the Incapacitate morph because it adds immobilization to my attacks. Remember that useless ability Mirage? Now pair Incapacitate with this and some dual wield Rapid Strikes and you'll be setting everyone off balance. I don't like the focus attack because I have enough stamina recovery with my medium armor, so that's why Incapacitate's good for me. The Shadow skill line is the typical rogue or stealth tree. It has invisibility, a heavy hitting single target damage, and also one of the best AoEs in the game, Veil of Blades. Consuming Darkness is the ultimate, which creates an area of darkness, snares enemies, allows allies to use synergy, and once morphed into Veil of Blades, adds area damage over time. I don't take Bolstering Darkness because it adds a synergy to heal. Healing's great, but you can't heal things to death. That's what makes Veil of Blades one of the most powerful ultimates in the game, AoE damage. Shadow Cloak is our brief stealth as Nightblades. There's two morphs, Dark Cloak and Shadowy Disguise. Both are really powerful. Shadowy Disguise adds basically a free, guaranteed critical. I don't use this because I have so much critical rating already it seems like a waste. On the other hand, Dark Cloak, which I do take, purges negative effects up to 4. Since this game doesn't have a whole lot of purges, I think this is more valuable, which I take. The next ability is really the damage ability for this skill tree, Veiled Strike. If stealth, it basically sets the enemy off balance or stuns them for a long time. Paired I take the Concealed Weapon morph because it adds a passive increase to my stealth speed. As a vampire and using medium armor, this is blazing fast. Surprise attack is also good with an armor debuff. Since I use Mark Target a lot on my second bar, I don't need less armor. So Concealed Weapon and speed is what I like. Path of Darkness is the next ability up, and it's basically a speed boost in front of you in a corner area. You can morph into Refreshing Path, which adds heals to you and your allies, and more speed. I don't really like this ability or the other morph, because there's other ways to speed around the battlefield, and in comparison, it doesn't have a whole lot of good heals. But if you were to take it, I would go Refreshing Path. Aspect of Terror is another ability up, and it's basically a fear, meaning enemies run away from you. It's not that good, because the Mages Guild Volcanic Rune can stun everyone in the AoE area, making it another ability I stay away from. If I were to take it though, I would go Mass Hysteria, because it adds weapon damage and reduces effective enemies' weapon damage. The last ability in the skill tree is Summon Shade, which is really interesting. By itself, it's not that powerful. It just summons a shade to basically reduce the target's damage. Shadow Image, however, is a morph that can, once you activate it again, makes you teleport to that position. Combine this in a PvP area zone when you're soloing and in a duel, and you will have them not wondering where you went or if you're hacking. You gotta try this out. Last but definitely not least is a skill line, Siphoning. It's your basic standard drain ability, giving you resources from the enemy. This is awesome for keeping up resources, magicka, stamina, and health. It also has some high-end DPS abilities and a good AoE with Crippling Strike and Power Extraction. Great skill line here. Soul Shred is a stun that deals damage to nearby enemies and also allows allies to use as synergy. Soul Tether is the morph that I would pick. It adds high damage over time to one enemy and gives you a self-heal. Soul Siphon is another heal that heals the group, but I don't play a healer, so it's not for me. So if you're in an area with a lot of enemies and need to stun them, Soul Tether is a good ability to have. The next ability is Strife, which is basically a range damage over time that self-heals you. I like the Swallow Soul ability because it adds you receive more percentage of health from all sources, including your self-healing. So for self-healing classes like me, I really like this. Funnel Health is the other morph, which basically heals 2 nearby enemies. I've tested it out and the heals are really minimal, so I stick with Swallow Souls. Agony is basically a long mez that deals damage once it's broken. I don't like the ability since damage can break it and there's always someone doing AoE damage, so I stick away from it. Now, if I were going to take it, I'd take Prolonged Suffering morph because it adds damage over time. Since I like single target damage, that's what I do, but there's probably some other better stuns that you can look for. Cripples is the next ability, which siphons movement speed, deals damage, and has a pretty low cost. You can do a lot of damage with this thing. I take the Crippling Grasp because it adds a mobilization and deals more damage. And since I play range with my bow, I can really just kite around circling enemies. Debilitates the other morph, which lowers the enemy's weapon damage, but I don't like that because I don't play a tank. Crippling Grasp is a great morph to get if you want high single target DPS. Siphoning Strikes is a toggled on or off ability that restores magic and stamina when you hit. However, it does lower your weapon and spell damage really significantly. There's 2 ways to play this. Have really high weapon or spell damage so that you really don't notice the decrease, or only turn it on when you need it. I like Leech and Strikes for that exact reason. If I'm low on magicka, stamina, or health, I turn it on and take it. Siphoning Attacks, however, is another great morph that you could take if you had a pocket healer rolling around. Since I like soloing and doing things on my own, Leashing Strikes is best for me. Drain Power is basically an AoE damage ability that increases your weapon damage for each enemy hit. I like the power extraction morph because it increases weapon damage and your max targets. Sap Essence does healing to nearby allies, but the healing is so minimal I can't see it. I like to ambush in, use power extraction, then do a big, huge, heavy attack that will nuke some enemy. Wow, the Nightblades are powerful. All those abilities make me want to go out and jump on my guy and start nuking everyone. Thanks for watching this episode. It's Delty with Delty is Gaming. In part 3, we're going to cover how to use all these skills to make an effective build. My main one is One Shot Willy, and you guessed it, I'm going to be nuking people one by one. Stay tuned, and I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to comment, subscribe, and share this video.